I'm going to introduce the hearing maids to you first. My name is Joanne McQuaid Hinderacher, and my mother is Phyllis McQuaid. I'm the oldest and brightest and best of her 8 children. We're just going to talk a little bit today about a subject that's kind of I think it's a big deal in all of our lives, really. I'm imagining that in this room, there are many of us here who do not hear well. And if you yourself do not hear well, you may have a spouse or a sibling or a best friend that cannot hear you when you talk. So my mother has been wearing hearing aids for about 17 or 18 years. And even though I'm lucky because I can hear well, I have a hearing problem because my mom has a hearing problem. Whenever you're in a group, whether it's in a small family setting or a group of friends at a restaurant or in a meeting like this, if just one person in your group cannot hear, that's a problem for us all, because that person does not participate. We lose their energy, we lose their creativity, because they're not part of the group. But unlike many other sort of disabilities or handicaps, hearing impaired people are very invisible. You might notice a hearing aid in someone's ear, but generally, the culture wants us to forget that hearing is a problem. If you're blind, you have a white cane. If you cannot walk, you are in a visible wheelchair. But hearing impairment is an invisible disability, and nobody wants to talk about it. If I don't acknowledge to you that I can't hear you, then, I won't look stupid. I won't bother you by asking you to repeat. So what happened was, not too long ago, my mother and a number of her very energetic, empowered women friends started talking about the fact that at Women's Club, many times nobody can hear in the meetings what are being said, but people are afraid to bring it up. Nobody wants to talk about it. Some people are depressed, some people don't come to the meetings, and some people just sit there feeling really dumb. So they decided that they needed to put out the message to their group that we've got some issues here, not just because we're hearing impaired women, but because the group suffers when there are people that cannot hear. So they call themselves the hearing maids, and they decided to do kind of a fun but informational presentation on some of the challenges that impact them. Because when you're hearing impaired, if you can educate the other person about what your needs are, then you can have a better interchange and better dialogue about how to connect better, and everybody's happier and the group is more productive. So right now, there's usually 5 hearing maids. One of them, I think, is caught up in traffic. So right now, I will introduce to you Donna Carlson, Joe Keating, Jane Gratton, and Phyllis McQuaid, who are the 4 of the 5 hearing maids.
Hear ye, folks. We're the hearing maids, and though we're shy to be on stage, we've got some tips to improve communication so we will have a more interesting conversation.
I can't hear whispering in my ear. I can't hear talking from my rear. I can't hear mustachioed utterings, nor hand in front of mouth flutterings.
I can't hear you from a distance, nor mumblings, for instance. I can't hear you when you shout loud, nor distinguish voices in a crowd.
But speaking clearly to my face and at a slightly slower pace may assist my lip reading and require less repeating. The telephone frustrates me so. It would really help if you speak slow. I'd like to hear your friendly voice, so don't speak soft and I'll rejoice.
Talking one at a time in group situations lets me participate with great appreciation. If you ask me a question and I tip my head, it's because I'm not quite sure what you said.
If we all take the time to really listen to each other, we hope our hearing problems will not be too much bother. We are the hearing aids. We are the hearing aids.
We're happy to be here to spread our message, and though we are rather, I should not be guilty of that, but I am. We are rather elementary in our presentation, not professionals by any means. We do, I think, get the message across. The 5 of us are hard of hearing. We all wear hearing aids. In addition, there are many other devices that we use to help us hear in a hearing world when we are non-hearing or impaired. For instance, the devices that Lenox provides for those of us who are hard of hearing in a group meeting such as this, I personally use it when I go to the lectures in the little theater. The hearing devices are made by Williams Sound. And Williams Sound is a big supporter of this program that we have been putting on around the city to those who ask us to attend a meeting of theirs. For instance, we were at a Coon Rapids Kiwanis Club up in, well, I said Coon Rapids. So we use that device. At home, I have a hearing device for my television. I have a loud ringer on my telephone. There are many other devices that people can find to help whatever it is that presents the biggest problem for them. So the only thing we have to do is ask. And because of this program, those of us who are involved in it have been asked many questions by members of the Women's Club who have friends or relatives who are hard of hearing. So we have been able to spread our message that way as well.
A lot of people, I have friends that have hearing aids, and they ask me about mine and say, you know, hearing aids are a real bother. My husband doesn't like to wear them. He's always turning it up or turning down. He says it squeaks. One thing about hearing aids, when you go to get one and it's not right for you, you keep going back until you get them to help you feel comfortable with them. Because we miss so much in life. We depend on our hearing and our eyesight for so many pleasures in life at our age. And if we miss out, we kind of don't get into conversations with people. We become more isolated. And life is about living. And you want to do it the best way that you can. And so I encourage you, when you get hearing aids, to keep at it, you know. Keep telling them, show me how to do this. It's not really working. It's too loud at this time. It's too, you know. And don't give up and put them in the drawer. or your pocket.
I don't like my hearing aids, and I'll tell you why. They don't have rhinestones on them. I want them to show off. And I think back to when I was a child and they made Band-Aids, and they made them in that flesh color so nobody would see you had a Band-Aid on. Everybody saw the Band-Aid across the room. So now what do they do with Band-Aids? They have Superman, they have flowers, they have Disney characters. They're trying to draw attention to the Band-Aid. Well, that's what I wish they would do with our hearing aids instead of making it this pink plastic. They do glasses that are plaid or red or black, but hearing aids are the same. So what I'm looking for is something bright in rhinestones or red or purple or anything. Now, when our message was first put in the paper, there were a lot of emails that came to Phyllis. And one of them is from a person, and I'd like to read you this letter. It is from a man named John, and he says, "Here's my gripe. Hearing aids that only come in flesh tones. My lordy, it even sounds creepy, like nose hair. Why, oh why can't hearing aids come in a variety of styles and colors? My choice would be denim blue. We only bury them in our ear canals because they look like half-chewed gum. If Dante Culpepper can have a 3-carat diamond out on the edge, so should I be able to hang a hearing aid out there and not feel vulgar. They cost about the same."
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Donna gave you a little of the background, as did my daughter, about what prompted us to do this. And our effort has really been to educate and to entertain. We don't want the subject of hearing loss to be dull, but we need to educate not only the people who hear well, we need to educate those of us who don't hear well so that we start speaking up for ourselves. I no longer hesitate when I go to a store and the clerk is looking down and I can't understand a word this 18-year-old girl is saying. And I touch her arm and I say, "Please, I'm hearing impaired. Will you look at me when you speak?" It makes all the difference in the world. The whole world is starting to change, and technology is improving hearing aids tremendously. But those of us who wear them know that in a room like this, it doesn't help an awful lot. As I said, we thought of entertaining a little bit about and telling you some of the funny stories that happened to us in our conversations with people who hear well. A good example is one of my neighbors happened to come over and was told me that her father had died. I misunderstood. I thought she said her dog had died, and I said, "Oh, Marty, that's awful. I feel so bad, but get another one right away." Now, when we tell these stories, they really sound funny, and there isn't one of us up here, or maybe some of you, who haven't had the same experience. But you know, after a while, it isn't funny anymore. It's embarrassing. It makes us lose confidence. It causes us to not participate. I'm very reluctant in meetings to ask a question anymore because I'm so afraid, number one, I either didn't understand the subject, or number two, the question has already been asked. And so you're going to be surprised, but I don't talk very much. We just would like the rest of the world to understand that there's nothing to be ashamed of in being hearing impaired. We would just like a little help. Thank you so much.
When we who are talking to you today have telephone problems, we just tell them, stop, I'm hard of hearing, I need for you to speak slower. I need for you to speak more directly, especially these young people who are doing some of these things for catalogs and donations. They talk too fast, they talk in a squeaky little voice. Well, who can hear that, you know? People with good ears can't hear that. So I just tell them, slow down, I'm hard of hearing, I need for you to speak clearly so that I can understand you. That's the only solution I can think of for any kind of a telephone problem. Okay. Pardon me? Oh. I understand. This gentleman said answering machines. They leave a message for you and you'd have no idea what they said. Well, I'm sorry, I can't address that directly because I just say to my husband, you have to answer the machine because I don't know what they're saying, okay? But you have to find other solutions. Maybe in your message, you need to say something about, please speak slowly and clearly because I don't hear well.
With regard to the telephone, it was becoming a major problem for me. I would get so frustrated, I almost hated to answer the phone. Well, there is a new telephone on the market, ladies and gentlemen, and it's called a CapTel phone. It is put out by Sprint. I keep thinking I should bring one with me. It's just a very small box that sits on the counter, and it has a screen. And every word that whoever is calling me, every word that's said to me is printed in the screen. It's just been so wonderful for me. My children can call me from out of town and I can hear them. Before, they were screaming at me on the phone and it was very frustrating. But the big thing is I can call a business place now. And you know how everything now is computerized. As soon as I catch someone, or as soon as someone answers, I tell them my name and I say, I am hearing impaired. Everything you say to me is going to be printed on a screen, so be patient. It makes all the difference in the world. Now they're pricey. I don't deny that. They're $495. My children paid for mine. They wanted me to have it. But there is no cost for the service. Once it's installed, there's no cost. And there's someone doing the captioning, just like on TV, only they spell better. And speaking of that, what would we do without closed captions? And there's another new thing on the market, and they're called reverse, what is it, Joanne? Reverse mirror, rear view mirror movies. And some of the theaters have them now, not many. But my daughter and my granddaughter took me to one, and it was so thrilling. I was looking through what looked like a plate glass mirror. Everything that was being said on the movie screen was being printed out on that. I got to see a whole movie. So the world is changing for the better.
What kind of this gentleman is saying that he has a pocket talker that is made by Williams Sound, and that is a device that has a little microphone. Now, I have not used mine lately, but what kinds of events do you use it for? Now, are you following that? It's also the kind of thing you could take with you when you go out to eat. Do you ever go out to eat with friends? There's 6 of you at the table. Maybe it's a square table, rectangular, maybe it's round. You have trouble hearing that one and you have trouble hearing that one. This thing can be put in the middle of the table and it will pick up the conversations around you. Harris Communication is a company in Eden Prairie that has many, many devices for the hearing impaired. They're a worldwide company. They do most of their business through the internet. But there's a catalog over here of all the items. They also have hearing aid batteries at a much more reasonable price than what you can get at Target or somewhere. Buy them in bulk. They have many devices. They have a showroom where you can try out all of these devices. They're all hooked up, the television, the telephone, and they also do a great bit of their business for the totally deaf. I've been hard of hearing half my life, so I have been at this a long time. I've had friends that say, my husband doesn't listen. He just doesn't pay any attention, just doesn't listen. Well, I'm sorry, but the poor man can't hear you when you talk to him from the kitchen and he's in the living room with the television on, okay? Now, if that's what you call selective hearing, yes, some people have selective hearing. The problem is, and my own husband and I have that problem too, as long as he has known me, I should say almost as long as he has known me, I've been hard of hearing. He still likes to talk to me from the other room. I have gotten to the point where I have to see him now because I read lips. And if he's in the other room, I'm not going to see him. Now he's getting used to it because he finds that he has to repeat it about 3 times as he goes from there. Then he thinks, well, maybe she can hear me from here, or maybe from here. And finally he gets here, and then I can hear him because he's talking to me. So people are accused of having selective hearing, but I would defend the hearing impaired and say, it isn't black and white. Certain tones and certain levels. Some people hear the high tones, some people hear the low tones. Some people hear men's voices better or women's voices better. So I think you have to be aware that there are many, many differences, and you can't just pinpoint this person has this hearing problem and take care of it. Everybody has a whole spectrum of problems trying to hear, and they do the best they can, so give them a break, okay? Park Nicollet, she's mentioning Park Nicollet has a store, so to speak, where they carry most of these devices. Yes, Park Nicollet is very good. Also, I still want to emphasize that Harris Communications has a great many things, and the thing I like about it is you can try them. And Harris will give you a catalog if you just call them up and ask them to send you one.
I just wanted to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that if anyone has any interest in information on the Captel phone, there is a Department of Deaf Services in St. Paul. Most of you aren't aware of it. I wouldn't have been if one of my daughters didn't work there. They have the information on the Captel phones.
He's talking about the telephones. They have 3 in their home, and they all have volume controls, right? Mm-hmm. Right. Now, in my house, we also have 3 phones. My husband is a U.S. West fan, and at one point he went to garage sales and found these old phones when they were being thrown out that had the volume control in the handset. Okay, we have a beige phone with a red handset. We have another one that is all beige. Fortunately, that's beautifully matched. Then we have the answering machine phone that he has attached a device that you just push the button up or down, and that controls the volume. That's separate, and that sort of thing can be put on any landline phone or whatever they call them, not a cell phone. I also have a loud ringer on my telephone, upstairs and downstairs, so that if I'm busy doing something, this thing almost blasts you out of the house, you know. But I get to the phone. I have an alarm clock. My husband says it sounds like a truck backing up. Well, it does. It has that terrible noise, plus the lamp flashes. So I'm bound to wake up. I mean, one way or the other. If I don't hear it, then this light's going to bug me and wake me up. These are all things that we need to do if we can't hear. I mean, if my husband's out of town and I have to be at an 8 o'clock meeting, that could be a tragedy because I'm not an 8 o'clock in the morning person. I'm a 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock person. So I need something that I can rely on, and that's what it is. They also have devices that you can wear on your wrist that will not pierce your skin, but will punch you, you know, when your alarm goes off, and that will wake you up. So there are no end to devices. So those of us who are hard of hearing have no excuses for not finding as many things that we can that are going to help us communicate with a hearing world. Because after all, we may be older, but we're not out to pasture yet, and we want to contribute, and we want to find out what's going on, and we want to keep living active, vital lives and not curl up in a corner somewhere because we can't hear what's going on, okay? So be sure to be good to yourself and check those things out. We will close this program, our part of it, I should say. We'll kind of walk through you and show you what we have on our shirts. These are all statements about us as people who have trouble hearing. And if you read our shirts, you'll understand some of the problems that we are dealing with on a daily basis. Anybody else? Anything? Okay, well, thank you for having us. We enjoy being corny.
Thank you.